Hey guys, welcome to Toddaly Joshing. I have Sean Rey here, and we're going to ask him some questions. So, first, we're going to start off with Far Cry. What was it like? I mean, there's a difference between being a character and then being the main character. So, being the main character, you had a lot more to say than what a normal role would be. So, what was it like trying to keep it all together for the entire game?
Well, like in the beginning, we realized that so Danny didn't actually have a lot of dialogue in the first 2 weeks of filming, because we were just there reacting to other characters, and especially the first 2 weeks of filming was with the Montero family. And so there was a lot of family squabble between them. So then Danny's this new fish that comes into the fold, and Danny's just there and seeing how Carlos and Espada, there's a lot of family beef going on, and then Danny's just kind of awkwardly standing there trying to prove him or herself and try to make a name and try to prove that they're a real, they're the real deal, that. So there was a lot of us just reacting to that. But then once we got more into meeting other characters, Danny had more to say, more input on everything, and getting more confident in the role of Karia and all that.
Yep.
So it was interesting because there is an arc where Danny's
Revise on laptops, okay?
Sure. There's an arc where Danny's unsure of the whole movement and everything, and Danny they want to leave, but then once they realize that their country is in real turmoil, that they find it in their heart to stay and fight. And then you can kind of see that throughout the game. And then finally Danny takes charge. And so it was interesting to see that happen. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so one question I was always curious about, when you're, especially the main actor, do they offer you a copy of the game after?
I did get I requested a code for it because the system that I have is Series S, so it doesn't have a disk drive.
Yep.
So I was I can't have a physical copy because that would be useless to me. So I got sent the code and all that, and then I said, I tried to play it, and then I got a few hours in. I'm sick of hearing about myself. I'm starting to nitpick things oh, I could have said that line differently, or could have said that better. I'm cringing sometimes. So I kind of just stopped playing it, and then I was well, maybe I should try playing as female Danny. And then I was I'm really good friends with Nisa, who plays female Danny. He's I don't need to hear your voice. Kidding, Nisa. Love you.
Yeah, so I know, when I did my streaming, I didn't like going back and editing my videos, because I don't, like you, I didn't like hearing my own voice.
Yeah,
so I couldn't get my bloopers, I couldn't do anything like that, so I didn't want to re-go over it. So I completely understand that. So the whole process, you have to, when you record a line, you go back and let you listen to it if you need to?
Yeah. I could, so when in the VO booth, when we're doing the gameplay dialogue, I'll do 3 passes, and then they'll play it, and then they'll choose which one that they like. So when they do that, I can hear it, and then I'll be okay, wait, I agree with your choices. I like that one. Sometimes they'll give a little freedom, no, can we choose this line? Okay. But then they have to improve it and all that. And then when we go in for another day, they'll show, or they'll play back what we previously recorded so I can get back into the same tone
Yep.
and all that. So yeah, it's interesting to hear how it was.
So when you're doing the recording and everything, do you have the bodysuit on all the time?
Not in the VO booth. Like that's only for the mocap stage of it all, right? Like
Okay.
the cinematics and like the cutscenes. So when we're doing that, we don't get to hear or see any of the takes.
Okay.
So like the only time where we get to hear it back is when we're in the vocal booth doing the gameplay part.
Okay, so some of the times you're just sitting there without the suit on, so it's
Yeah.
just those scenes would just be generic.
Yeah, it's
movements
like
of the
those are
characters.
taking place in two different buildings, right? Like like all the cutscenes and the cinematics are done and in the Ubisoft in the mocap space, and then when we record like the all of the gameplay stuff, like when say like the player is going out into the world, driving a car, shooting, climbing stuff, getting hit. Those are all done in the vocal booth.
Okay. Yeah, so that must have been fun. I know you've done regular acting, which we'll touch on soon, but how do you compare it to regular acting?
I mean, in my opinion, it's all acting. It's just where we're doing it, right? So I consider it to be the same as being on set on a show. You still have to put on a performance, and it's just circumstances of how you're doing it.
Yeah, so you got lucky that you're with a female co-star that shared the female version. So you actually had someone there the whole time.
So like when we were filming the cinematics, we were always there side by side. Like we would give each other notes, like maybe say it like this way, do it because so the way that we would shoot it is that somebody would do like the master pass, so they get like they would use like a lot of times the male body, and then they would go back and do a second pass where they would have to hit all the same beats. Like say I made a choice where I walked up faster to a character and then say that line. So then whoever's doing the alternate pass has to match the timing of that. So then sometimes you're okay, like slow down, or you walk slower. You know, it was a good give and take sort of relationship that we had. And there was times where we just the director would just let us figure out how we wanted to approach it.
Yeah, so that's definitely a different outlook. I never even thought about it. Like,
Yeah, it's a very technical way of filming, because like they would like whoever's doing the alternate pass would have to match up to the beats. So like they would have like they would set in beeps, like beep 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 talk,
yeah,
or boop 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 walk or whatever, and like pick up an object at the same time, because it makes the animator's job so much easier if we're in sync.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
It's a very technical way of doing performance.
So you would definitely do a Far Cry 7 or a movie.
If I was invited to, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I like Far Cry 7. Far Cry in general doesn't have the same character from game to game usually.
No, they don't.
So it would be nice. Like I haven't played it yet, so I don't know what happens at the very end, and I don't want you to spoil it, obviously. But if your character came out unscathed at the very end, would you do a sequel?
If I was asked to, yes. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's not. I don't have a say.
Yeah.
In what they plan for future installments.
Yeah, Far Cry is one of the ones I love that they changed the character, just because you're not playing the same character all the time. Like in something like Resident Evil, where you're always the same character going through. Yeah. So having a different character, different voice actor, I think that's setting. I think that's one of the best things. Like each game is its own different movie.
Yeah, they're all standalones.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the things that make Far Cry really good. Do you have any suggestions for people that are trying to get into that type of acting, the voice acting?
Get some representation, find an agent, and you can it's like the thing is, I didn't get into the industry to do video games, voice acting, motion capture. Just kind of the opportunity just fell into my lap, and then I did my best. So just practice, take classes, work on your craft, basically.
So just work
Stay
hard.
dedicated. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dedication's a must, because if you don't have dedication, you're not going to make it anywhere, no matter what you do. So, all right, so we're going to move on from that to Rev. I loved Rev. Your character was Charlie.
Yeah.
The movie in general was awesome. I liked it. It wasn't a knockoff of Gone in 60 Seconds or Fast and the Furious, but it had like a different setting that made it. It was almost the same, but it was its own thing.
Yeah,
and I felt
it
like
was smaller. It was a smaller story.
But it didn't seem like it was less. It wasn't any less. It was one of those movies where it just keeps you at the edge of your seat. You want to see what's going to happen next. You always want to see what's happening in the next scene. And that's how I felt when I was watching it anyways. So the question I asked you earlier about the Lamborghini, when he steals it from you, you come to get it from the shop.
Yeah.
Your character outlook, I know he liked them right away.
Yeah.
What was your feeling going into that? Like, how would you have changed that character if you could have? I mean,
I don't think I would have changed it because I like the approach of Charlie. Like, he's just, I guess the only thing that I would change is that he was too trusting, and he always like tried to see like the good in people, even though he's in a world where most people aren't good. But like he wasn't a gangster. He was just a businessman in a crooked world, and but he was smart. And as soon as Francesco, the actor that plays the actor that plays Mikey, he was as soon as he started talking about like all that tech stuff, how he got past all of those locks. Forgive me, it's been like 5 years since I've done, or 4 years since we shot this. But as soon as he started,
he recorded the beep, and
right, and that's impressive, right?
Yeah,
he's
making the program himself.
Okay, cool, all right. You got a job, baby.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty awesome. So that being the first scene, obviously, me watching the movie, I seen that he was part of the clique, the cops.
Yeah.
Then, but when he came into that scene, it's like you almost forgot that he did that just like a couple scenes before.
Yeah, the cops, they made him do that.
Yeah. So I like that because I actually forgot until he met up with the cops a little while later. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot all about that. That's how good the movie is. It gets you to forget about things and you remember it later. It's kind of like a twist if you look at it that way.
Yeah.
Speaking of twist, the end of the movie, I love the twist there.
Okay.
I don't. We won't get too much into it because I want these guys to actually watch the movie. But the twist, I loved it. I thought it was like, it wasn't like a big twist like it would be on like Pulp Fiction, but I loved that it was just the twist was there in general. I thought it was just awesome.
Well, I'm glad you think that way. My opinion at first was like, I'm not too sure. Like, I didn't really believe it. But then as we were shooting, I was thinking, well, what is Charlie thinking? And then he's playing like a long game because he has nowhere else to go. So he's playing chess in a sense, where he's kind of stuck in a position and he's not going to move until he knows he can get away. Yeah,
because Mikey was stuck in a spot where he damned if he doesn't, he damned if he doesn't. So no matter what happened with Mikey, he would have got in trouble. So I think his outlook to help you guys out was just like, it was great. Like you've seen it done before in movies. You see it all the time. But I think the directors looked at this one was actually really good. I actually really admired it. I'm a big movie buff, so I actually really admired how he did this twist. I thought it was awesome, and you guys played it off perfect. I thought your acting was amazing in it. So
thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, so you did get to drive the Lambo.
Yeah.
I can't remember what kind it was either, but
like I said, I'm not a car guy. I don't know like the make and model of it, but it was fun to drive. But I wouldn't have it as my own personal vehicle. I don't think it's very practical, especially in Canada when it rains and snows a lot.
Interesting.
And there's a lot of blind spots, and it's very low. And if you have like a bad back or something, it's not easy to get out of.
Yeah, I have a Firebird myself, and it's so hard to get into.
Yeah.
When the roof's down, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's great to get into, but yeah. What was the other car you drove? Do you remember?
It was a BMW, but like an SUV sort of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I only drove it in the one scene where we were going to meet Dutch, and then Sammy, I remember his name now. Sammy, he hands Mikey the pistol, and then we like peel into the back of the garage, and that was the only scene where I drove that. Thanks.
That's awesome. I know I had a couple more questions. Oh, the movie is made in Toronto.
Yeah.
How was that? Like, do you love making it in Toronto? Like, a lot of actors either love Toronto or they hate Toronto.
Well, I lived there, so it was pretty convenient for me. I didn't have to go anywhere or stay in a hotel somewhere. I was just, at the end of the day, I just go home.
So were these filmed on like actual locations or where they filmed?
They were filmed at real. Locations. They pulled favors from people that they knew, like the garages, things like that. Charlie's house, like the mansion, I believe they rented that, and they had like that big pool party scene. Like we shot there for a few days.
That's awesome.
So yeah, like none of the sets were built. Like there's no studio or anything like that. It was all real.
So what was it like with the other actors? I know you worked closely with two of them.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name, but it's Mikey and the girl that you're.
Yeah, Hannah Gordon. She plays plays Ava.
Yeah, that's it. I should have remembered that. How is it working with the two other actors like that? I know they're both working their way up. They're both just starting to, like, kind of like you. They're both starting out. They're just trying to get their career going. How's it like working with them? Like, did they teach you stuff, or did you guys have tips for each other?
I mean, like, we didn't really give each other any like direction or anything, but we became pretty close friends, pretty tight. So that helped with the chemistry on scene and all that. So
that was my next question. I was going to ask about chemistry.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like when you're on like a new project, you either become really good friends quickly, or then you just kind of become like acquaintances. You're on scene with you're either like on camera with another person, and then once they call cut, you kind of just go your separate ways. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, because sometimes say that like an actor, they want to have like their own space to get prepared for the next scene, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to be best buds or anything. So everybody has their own way of doing their own process.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So you just gotta respect their boundaries, and then that's it. I'll take it personally.
Yeah, I know there's one more. I already asked about the racetrack, which is kind of sucks you didn't get to go on the race. Go for a trip around it. That would have been fun.
Well, I wasn't even there that day while we were shooting, and I'm no stunt driver, so I'm not even qualified to be doing those kind of tricks and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
like,
I figured if you guys were all there, they'd let you
I might
take a
just
trip
crash
for
the
around
car.
it. Well, even if they said that, keep it under 40.
Yeah.
That would have been neat to just be like, yeah, I drove around the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say whether Francesco got a chance to take it for a spin. Maybe he did. I don't know. I wasn't there that day.
Okay, so a couple more questions. What's your biggest achievement as an actor?
Just gotta say, Far Cry 6. It's been taking me to like a lot. Like it's been taking me to it's like a career height, I guess, and it's only up from here, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, it's been a great journey, and hope for more.
Yeah, so what do you have on the go right now? Or soon,
Actually,
anyways.
I can't reveal anything.
But there is something that's coming out.
There is something, yeah. Something.
Okay, well, how long should we look? 2 years? Maybe? Can't see anything, that's fine.
Maybe 6 months to a year.
Well, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I'll look for it, and hopefully I'll see you here next year.
Yeah.
That'd be
I hope so.
So, this is Sean Rey. Definitely check out Rev. Play Far Cry 6. Watch for what he's coming out, and within the 2 years, hopefully. Thanks for watching Toddaly Joshing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.